The Bostonian is Matt Perrault.
This is our city.
The book is Dave Sharapan.
Pay him. Pay that man his money.
Together, they are the Bostonian versus the book.
You covered! You covered 12! Covered!
Follow the show on Twitter at Boston versus the book.
How do you like them apples?
Bringing you the best insight on sports betting news, Matt and Dave's daily picks, and an entertaining and unfiltered dive into the sports betting industry. Here's Dave Sharapan and Matt Perrault.
And here we go.
Happy Monday, guys. What's up? Welcome into another episode, another week of the Bostonian versus the book update on the week. Here in just 1 second, we have a different schedule this week. He is Dave Sharapan. I'm Matt Perrault, live on YouTube at Boston versus the book. Same on Twitter and on X/Twitter. Replayed on Sports Grid Television and channel 159 on Sirius XM. Tell the big guys, by the way, that we talk about Sports Grid all the time. Getting text messages saying, why don't you guys talk more about Sports Grid? We talk about Sports Grid top of every show. Shows are replayed every single time. Dave's on Sports Grid almost every single night. How are you, sir? What's up on this Monday?
I'm in vacation mode. Not going to lie. I'm going to have to carry the show because I'm working today. I'm working tomorrow. I'm not working the rest of the week here. I'm not working the rest of the week on Sports Grid. So it was a good weekend. Geez, I woke up and chose violence yesterday. I didn't even really mean to. Saturday night was BYU, Arizona.
Okay.
I was home by myself. You
Okay.
were watching my daughter.
It was.
My wife and mother-in-law were bowling. Pap was napping. So I decided to get involved in BYU, Arizona. I think there were 23 lead changes, 18 ties.
Yes.
The game was flying over.
One bad
I
chance.
said, you know what? I'm going to start betting this game in-game. I might have needed the pamphlet after the game. I made 38 bets.
Oh, okay.
On the game alone. So that was not a foul at the end of the game. That was clear. So then I decided yesterday to wake up and go, you know what? Going to have to go to work. I'm going to have to just pick a couple games and then see the Celtics. You go, they're winning.
Yep.
You see St. John's and you go, they're winning. Then you see the Warriors and you go, they're winning.
Mm-hmm.
Glance at the hockey board in the morning and said, how are the Capitals a dog against the Oilers at home? They're winning. And I don't know who needs to hear this, but the Penguins aren't trying to win. They're rebuilding. They were a small underdog to the Rangers, and I went, the Rangers are winning. And before like 1 o'clock yesterday, I was 5-0. My wife said, what are you doing? I said, laundry the whole day. I ain't doing nothing. Whatever you need me to do, I'll do. I've already done the work, and we got the money. We're good to go. So, yeah, yesterday was a good day, but I'm on vacation mode. That's it.
Yeah, I think there's going to be, as we hit the end of February, this is kind of the March is always about college basketball, and the NBA and the NHL oftentimes gets forgotten about, and people do look to take shots in the NBA and the NHL because the public's attention is going to be diverted for the better part of a month on conference tournaments and in the NCAA tournament for that matter. So look, you look at some of these teams, the Sixers are going to pack up shop and they're going to shut down Embiid. I mean, they're going to shut down Embiid, and you've got just different teams that they're not going to be trying. They're intentionally trying to lose. Sacramento Kings are intentionally trying to lose. Like, there's just certain teams that are not going to be putting forth their best product or best effort, going forward. Hockey's a little harder to do that, just the nature of the sport. But in the NBA, I mean, that's been the big critique, right? That guys sit and don't play. And
I think hockey becomes the most bettable sport because you get the truest. It's like betting baseball in August. You have 3, 4, 5 months of information. You know the teams that are pretty much still all trying. The standings are so clumped together that there's only 2 or 3 teams that are legitimately out of it until the last 2 weeks. I don't know. I love the hockey stuff leading up to the playoffs because it feels like playoffs. I want to say it feels like Four Nations because that felt different. That was different.
Mm-hmm.
But you get intensity that you don't get in the NBA. You just don't. There's and again, not besmirching the NBA product, Marcus. Doughboy, don't come at me.
I mean, I
love the
think you get it
basketball.
in the conference finals. I think you get it in the Eastern Conference and Western Conference and NBA finals. You get that, but not in the first round the way you get that in the NHL. I mean, dropping on the puck game 1, round 1 is intense, and the intensity just builds and builds and builds and builds. It's just a different level because, the play-in tournament's been a nice thing, but the NBA's had to try to play around with their bracket because of the fact that the NHL playoffs are better. And so trying to get people's attention, say, okay, let's give them something different to watch. And that's the play-in tournament. That works for some. It doesn't work for others. I mean, it just depends upon what you're liking. But the intensity of the NBA doesn't get there until the championships, until the Eastern and Western and NBA championships. Then
it depends. Sometimes you might get a good second round series. The first round series, it's a 4-5 usually, and that's it. 1, 2, and 3. They very rarely lose, let alone a game or two, that in those series. So the 4-5s are usually pretty intense. And you get an occasional game where the dog actually is competitive and wins. That's fine.
Right.
But you're right. I mean, the series it's hard to do. But like finding bettable stuff in February, like now, and into March, it's all about college basketball. I mean, there's so many games. You find teams like Drake right there. Henry Ziegler, per the Thursday stream, roll Drake Bulldogs.
What a game. What a game that was yesterday. Northern Iowa and Drake McCollum. I mean, the guy just is a really good coach. If I'm an Iowa Hawkeye, I'm like, that's my guy. That's my coach. I mean, I want Drake's coach to be my guy. He's got guys who he had to convince. They're talking about on the broadcast yesterday. So I'm watching Drake in Northern Iowa, and I'm watching these players and like they look like typical Drake guys. Players have been overlooked. Players have been somewhat disrespected in the recruiting rankings and whatnot. But then they tell the story of this kid that was playing last year at Co D3 and he had a job lined up. And McCollum went and sat him down and said, come play for me for a year. Delay your life later. He's got a great job lined up. It'll be there when you get back. Come play basketball for me. These are the kids on Drake's team. Like these kids are like they're D3 basketball players who had jobs doing something else, and McCollum is taking them potentially to the NCAA tournament. Like Ben McCollum is an unbelievable coach for Drake. He really is.
Whatever works. And at this point now, I think sports are really realizing that I mean, college is basically pro. The way they're getting paid, the way they're 1-year contracts. What Rick Pitino has done with St. John's with right now, I mean, there were some great sound bites of him talking about what he's doing, and he's not even going to try to recruit a high school kid, he said.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He's done. We have now they recruited 3 high school kids this year. They have 3 freshmen on their team this year. So he said, in today's world, you cannot win long-term just constantly having freshmen and sophomores. You must have upperclassmen. And we have our underclassmen, our sophomores will be freshmen next year, or freshmen will be sophomores next year. So we don't need any more freshmen. We're good. So his point was well taken, but it wasn't as it was being put like he's not even going to bother with freshmen. He believes he has enough young players on his team right now. He doesn't need to go and get more freshmen. But Pitino also said that the ACC and the Big East should merge, which is a really interesting thought.
Can't say it's original. I mean, they've been talking about that, and like the schools, half the schools that are in the ACC should be in the Big East, and back and forth.
Point.
Like that's the problem.
That's his point. And here's the one thing that the Big East is a better conference than the ACC right now for college basketball.
I don't even think it's close.
I think the Big East would say no because the Big East likes to be basketball only. That was the whole point of the conference forming was you guys are
Can you do a basketball only conference in today's environment?
The Big East in the Missouri Valley are proving you can. I mean, yes, you can. You can recruit. Look at 2-time national champion plays in the Big East. Okay. I mean, you can win a national championship in back-to-back years playing in the Big East Conference. It would be awesome, I think, to get some new blood for Big East schools, but I don't think they need to have a super conference for college basketball. That's a football thing. Like the Big East, I think, is perfectly comfortable. Now that St. John's, you mentioned what they have done this year with Pitino. You have Marquette in great shape with Shaka Smart. St. John's is in tremendous position. 2-time defending champ with UConn. The Creighton Blue Jays just consistently win 20 games every year and get back to the tournament every single year. I mean, even the bad teams still have rise-up seasons once in a while. Butler every couple of years will have a decent team and a decent season. Seton Hall once in a while will recruit some decent talent. Villanova is still Villanova. I mean, the Big East Conference top to bottom right now is way better than the ACC. I get the idea.
Mentioned Syracuse and Pitt, by the way.
For out of the ACC, you mean?
No, out of the Big East. I mean,
they're gone.
No, they should be in the Big East.
That's sure, of course.
That they were in the Big East.
Yeah. I mean, look, Georgetown and Syracuse is a rivalry that we should have 2 times a year every year. It's a great series. It's a great rivalry. We don't get it right now because Syracuse, wanted to go play football and went with the ACC. But I mean, this is where UConn is, what are they? Are they independent still for college? Or are they, where is UConn football? I keep on forgetting. They've bounced around so many times, but
conference, do they?
I think that they do. I think UConn
conference, UConn football,
Conference USA. They've
really?
gone to so many. Yeah, they've gone to, because UMass is independent.
Somebody put it in the chat. By the way, if you guys are here, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We're trying to trick the algorithm as much as we can. They are independent.
Okay, thank you.
Independent. I mean, Nikki, independent or independent. I knew what you meant. Thank you, Jay Dalbetz, correcting.
But they're independent.
Nikki.
So UMass is doing the same thing. That they play basketball in the A10 and a basketball only conference. I don't know. I'm from a college basketball world where college football didn't matter. Like college football was an also ran. So like the A10 was where I cut my teeth. And then watching the Missouri Valley, spending some formative years with the Valley, and now obviously watching the Big East and covering it closely. Those 3 conferences are where I love the idea of having a college basketball only conference. I wish we went back to the days where you had a round robin and you played everybody. You played 22 games, 11, 12 team conferences are the best because you play 22 conference games. You play everybody home and away. That's a true champion. Like when you can do that.
Well, and it's fair.
Right.
Like it's fair. Like there's no complaints about you didn't play this team. You only played this team at home. You didn't play this team on. It's fair. We got 22 conference games. 11 of them are at home. 11 of them are on the road. When you played them, that's the lucky part, but there's no dispute.
Right. You have the same schedule. Right. Because the Big Ten's got 3 teams that will not make it to the conference tournament. Like that's a little crappy, to be honest, that you don't get to play in your conference tournament because you don't win enough games.
Why? Because there's 18 teams.
There's 18 teams. Only 15 teams get to go to the bracket.
How the hell is there a 15-team bracket?
Because I forget how they do it, but that's how they do it. They have 4 games on the play-in tournament, and it's wonky, but 3 teams don't make it.
Well, that should incentivize you to play better.
Fine, but I still think the conference tournament should be for everybody. I mean, the conference tournament should be the conference. Everybody in the conference makes the conference tournament.
Yeah, but not when you make too big of a conference.
Right. Well, now you have.
Right?
Yeah. You have double buys in 15. Regulation's not a horrible idea, Roger, but it's too soccer-ish for me. It's too much like soccer. It's too confusing.
You can't change. You get relegated out of the Big Ten. Where do you go? You say you go to the Pac-12. Well, the Pac-12 dissolves. Well, no, let's go to the Mountain West. Wait a second. Where do you go?
Henry, why do I know the Valley so much? I spent 5 years as the pre and post game show host of Creighton basketball when they were in the Valley under Dana Altman, and then started a rival site covering recruiting for Creighton basketball for the next 5 years, including their move from the Missouri Valley to the Big East. So I've been watching and going. I've been to Arch Madness 7 times for the college in St. Louis,
and still loves it, Henry.
And still loves it. Yeah, and still watch it.
And still watches this over other stuff.
Yeah, I'll watch Drake, and I'll watch. I'll watch Ben Jacobson coach any darn day. I don't know why we haven't had Coach on the show. We need to get Jacobson on the show. He's a tremendous dude. He's best friends with Coach McDermott in each other's weddings, and they're as tight can be. And that's the whole Doug McDermott going to Northern Iowa, that whole backstory. We've talked about it on the show. We don't need to go into it again, but there's a whole backstory between Creighton and Northern Iowa for years. And the Valley is really incredible basketball. I mean, this is the thing that people who love college hoops, that's Midwest, small town, Cedar Rapids, Cedar Falls, like these small, markets, Illinois State and Southern Illinois, and it's great. It's awesome. The Valley's tremendous, but Drake's going to make some noise. I mean, Drake, I think, has a shot at winning one game in the tournament, depending on who they play in the first game. Drake could advance, and then Ben McCollum is gone. Like if it's not Iowa, somebody else is going to get that guy.
I don't know how far quickly like guys have to be gone. If teams like them can keep them a little bit longer and then just step up the money. Because those conferences, I know they've always been stepping stones, but you can't step up the money.
No, Drake can't. I mean, it's in Des Moines. I mean, Drake can't compete with even a school in their own state in Iowa, let alone somebody else that may come calling and say, okay, Ben McCollum, you've won back-to-back national championships at Northwest Missouri State at D2. You took players from D2 and D3. You went to Drake, and you've won 23, 24 games already this year.
Mm-hmm.
If he wins Arch Madness, he's going to be the regular season and the conference tournament champion, probably a 11 seed, 12 seed, 13 seed, somewhere in that range, and maybe upsetting a power conference team. The money, Drake has no shot at matching, like absolutely no shot at matching. And Drake's got some alumni that have some money, but Des Moines is even smaller than Omaha. So like from a money standpoint, they just can't compete, but he's from that part of the country. So that's why the Iowa move to go to Iowa City would make the most sense, because it's not a very big move for his family just to go to Iowa City, 2.5 hours to the east.
It's a big move to go to the Big Ten.
That's
lose.
Yeah. Iowa, Indiana fans want McCollum. See, if Indiana comes calling, it's done. Like you can't compete with that. It's life-changing money. It's $8 million, $9 million a year.
Right.
Done. Like, a school like that swoops in and says, hey, we want you to coach our team. Goodbye. I mean, Des Moines has no shot at matching that. And I love Drake. I mean, Drake's an unbelievable school. The Drake Relays is an incredible part of, history in this country for athletic events. And it's a fun play. I lived in Des Moines for 2 years. So I'm a big fan of Drake, but I don't think McCollum's sticking around. He's too good. He's a really good coach.
You get into, the different things, and you get a whole different point of view. You better really enjoy the money. It's really hard to win at the higher levels, and it's a different game, and you got to have to start with the NIL stuff and learn about paying players, and then you got to learn about watching players when you get to different programs and what the players may be doing in their off time and different things like that.
Yeah, I mean, some big issues quickly. Yeah, that was Addison. I bet that game taking Indiana plus the points at home. I didn't even know it was the anniversary of the chair game. I didn't even know that. It was a lucky break. Did you see what Indiana did? They had remember the chair throw?
The entire content space was on Indiana yesterday. That was unbelievable.
I didn't know that. I didn't even know I didn't know that.
That was a good play. I mean, it worked out really well, and they had a great second half. But I remember when Bobby, I'm old enough to remember the day it happened, because we were all like, wait, did he just do that?
It was not Sydney's chair.
It's not Sydney's chair. Nobody would throw Sydney's chair. Nobody puts baby in the corner, and nobody touches Sydney's chair.
That second half was unbelievable. First half was a little bit iffy. Second half was, they came out like gangbusters in the second half.
I mean, there's a lot of people that are talking about crossing teams off the list. Purdue has got to be up there for one of the teams that you cannot really ever trust. They had a great run last year.
Yeah.
Didn't win it, but got to the end.
Well, they can't guard the rim. Like that was always last year because of the 7'5" kid. You had players, you had a defense that was so formidable you couldn't get into the paint. Well, that's not right now. Purdue doesn't have a post presence worth anything, and Indiana does. Right. And that was the biggest difference in that game, was just they dominated the paint and dominated the rim. And Purdue's guard heavy again, and when they miss shots, things can really go south quickly for Purdue. So Smith just kept on turning the basketball over. That's true. Smith was not good yesterday in the second half for Purdue. So good win for them for sure. But I mean, let's get into this. This is the story out of the, rather than we're talking games, luckily, but a lot of people aren't. A lot of people are talking about this. The Fresno State sat its top 2 scorers amid reports of an investigation into betting activity on men's games. The Bulldogs stink. They're 1-16 in the Mountain West Conference, much like Temple last year, because Temple stunk last year, and they were getting all of it. And that story, if you're following it, is still continuing. There are tentacles going on here. But this is, again, it's, A10, Mountain West. When do we get a Power 4 team that gets called up, Dave? Because we're getting closer and closer every couple of months, it feels like.
The problem with a lot of it is that there's kids getting paid and then there's kids that aren't. And a lot of the kids that aren't are trying to find ways to get paid. There's a lot of people trying to justify gambling as a career vocation and either sell picks or do stuff. Don't recommend it, but I don't know. Talked to some people yesterday, followed up with the guy that put the story out. I quote tweeted it, and the irony in it is twofold. One,
the Fresno B guy or Nick Bromberg?
No, the ABC 30 guy.
Okay. Yeah, Fresno B is the one who broke it. They broke the story.
Alec, the TV guy.
Mm-hmm.
I forget his Alex something, but you're in California, so they're not doing it with legal sports books anyway, which is ironic because not that would have been caught. It's almost impossible to catch until it's done. But they were betting unders on their points and unders on their rebounds. So you can kiss player props goodbye in college, which the books are happy to do.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win for everybody. But can you imagine being a coach and going, what are you guys doing? Like, you're betting on your props under? I got to worry about that. I got to worry about how we play a 2-3 zone. I got to worry about matchups. I got to worry about watching film. I got to worry about whether you're going to class. And now I got to worry about whether you're betting and you're betting unders.
Is it federal?
Makes it tough to be a coach.
Is it federal or is it going to be state by state where props go away in college?
I don't know if federal is going to get involved. I mean, we're seeing state by state. We'll have a story later on like Maryland. We talked about Vermont just saying, you know what? It's just more headache than it's worth. I think it will start as an individual book by book decision.
Just taking it down. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And then someone in the states or, some regulator / legislator will go, wait a second. This is, it'll involve, the Juice just said FBI was involved with the Temple shenanigans. So when the FBI and stuff gets involved, it's probably going to be a problem. Maybe stop doing it.
Well, I wonder, just a question in the chat saying, what about the offshores? They're not going to stop. I mean, and that's the issue with all of this. And like Dave said, they're in Fresno, California. They were betting with illegal, quote unquote, offshore sports books.
Or underdog or prize picks or,
That's harder though, right? Because, well, I guess if they're doing prize picks, they're doing, it's a 6-leg or a 4-leg, or it's not just,
of course, it's
1v1.
So be a parlay. Yeah.
You have to get it all together. And I mean, the odds go up obviously, and you can hit 25-1 type stuff if you're betting all unders. We'll get their full, I'm assuming we'll get the full, what they were betting and where they were betting at some point. The report will come out on this. And I mean, we haven't seen anybody get perp walked yet. Okay. We haven't really seen.
Well, Jonte Porter, what do you mean?
We've seen, he hasn't been arrested in terms of or sentenced rather, he's been arrested, but he hasn't been sentenced yet.
Sentencing is in May. Yeah.
So we'll see how long he winds up going away for. I don't know. I mean,
Erdem wrote a great article today about that whole thing.
Yeah.
It ain't going to be good. That ain't going to be good. Somebody's going to be made an example of.
Yes. And there needs to be, frankly. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, to put a stop to this, you have to make it so punitive that people don't go near this. Otherwise, I mean, it calls into question all sorts of different legalities as to whether or not you can effectively have this be legal in America. Like, not just legal in a state, like in the country. Can we actually have it? And then you get the federal government snooping around saying, okay, well, maybe we need to go back because we tried it. We looked into the abyss and it didn't work and it was bad. And we're going to pull everything out of it because it's a problem. Because we're hearing it more and more. Again, you mentioned it later, but Vermont has a bill to repeal. Maryland has a bill to repeal mobile betting and allow in person, but no more mobile. Like states are starting to ask some pretty tough questions as to whether or not this practice should be legal in their state. And that's not good.
I think, and again, you learn from history in life. Like, and again, there's whole things happening in this country and different things that we could probably learn from history to be aware that could happen or might happen. But with the gambling stuff, look what's happening in the UK. Look what happened in Australia. Look what happened in all these places that these companies came over here and told us what we could expect and what we could do. And they basically are just coming in and raising all of the land, just pilfering it as much as they can, and then they're going to leave. And they were able to get these companies like the big ones, DraftKings and FanDuel and BetMGM, and they splashed all over sports. Every basketball court, when you watch it, has one of those ads. Now the regional sports networks are FanDuel sports networks. Everybody's got a patch or something of a sports book. They all took the money without realizing what could happen. Or didn't care, or thought it would be longer. I feel like this is all happening so fast.
Agreed.
We are on fast forward of all of the things, and a lot of people that said yes, do it, yes, do it, yes, do it, are going, wait a second. Why didn't we think about this? Why didn't you ask these questions? Why didn't we this? You guys just took the money.
Yeah, the menus, I think, are going to be scrutinized. I think having, really low-level college basketball have the same lines, the limits are less, but not that much less. You can still get down on certain games. That will be scrutinized. I mean, the player props, look, there's been books here in Vegas. We've talked about it. Our friends who have shorter menus, people come in town and they go, why the hell are your menus so short? Well, why don't you have this, Cheesecake Factory type menu where I can bet on every single thing and parlay everything together and do everything? And there's a reason that Vegas says, no, like, we're not getting involved in that. Like, we'll take bigger bets, but we're not going to give you these, these markets that could be manipulated, or these markets that could be not on the up and up. So that, I think, is going to have to be talked about from the company standpoint. Forget the legal standpoint. From a company standpoint, like, are you comfortable having a game in, with no name state versus directional state that no one has ever heard of? And you have a lineup and, there's 5 people betting it and they're all $1,000 bets. It's like, well, who's betting that? Like, who's actually going in there and putting money down on that?
And that's fine. Like, side total money line is fine. It's manageable and it can be done. But when you get into the player props and you splash it all over, and you get players, and obviously they're much more susceptible to it in college.
Yeah.
Because they don't have money, a lot of them, or they're getting paid, but they're looking to make more money. Okay.
I think there's jealousy going on as well. I think the reason why you're seeing it at the Fresnos and the Temples and the, the A&Ts of the world is because they know what the big boys are getting paid right now. Like, they know that some of these high-level high school kids are coming out and they're making $2 and $3 million a year. And so you play the same sport, you're in the same league sometimes, and you're watching what everyone else is making. And you're like, wait a minute, that guy's making $250,000 a year to play the same thing that I'm playing. I want my cut. How do I get mine? Well, I can get mine by going ahead and figuring this out. If I take $100 and start betting my unders, I'm going to play and I'm going to just happen to miss 2 rebounds and I'm going to happen to miss 2 free throws. And
oh, geez, big freeze face. Pause. Snap your fingers. Holy crap, Mikey, get him right there. My goodness. So that one was with eyes closed, making a big squinty face.
So, like, those are all the things that are happening where kids, I think there's jealousy going on. I think NIL is having another consequence is that kids want to get theirs and they can do it for their own betting, their own props.
Well, you can always say that you won't get caught in all of these scams. And I'm not saying this particular thing is a scam, but I'm up listening late night to the, this Elf Twitter Spaces. At some point, Elf will come on the show.
Tomorrow, potentially, we want him.
Yeah. And it's fascinating to hear the admission to crimes and literal things are amazing to me. Like there's no remorse. There's no accountability for literally things that would get you one in deep trouble. Somebody might kick your ass, but you would go away for doing these things. And integrity is doing the right thing when no one is looking. That's what integrity is. You're asking broke ass college kids who are playing a sport that are underpaid or feel they're underpaid to miss a couple free throws.
Mm-hmm.
Go under your points prop. Tell them your leg hurts. Come out of the game. It's not that hard.
Who's Miranda?
Miranda Rights.
I don't know. Oh, Miranda rights. Okay. I was like, so. What? Oh, I forgot the lawyer bringing up Miranda rights. Okay.
Kristen, yes, Miranda.
I was like, who's Miranda? Like, what are we doing? I'm like, wait a second. Hold on a second. Time out. Like, wait, what? Yes. Don't incriminate yourself. Yes. If she means you have a right to remain silent is the point that she is making.
Yes.
But no one is doing that because they're doing it through a fake Twitter account with a fake handle on a show that they think that no one is listening or watching.
It's fascinating. That stuff is fascinating. This stuff with the colleges is discouraging. This is scary. It's just, it can be done. The problem is that the leap is being made very quickly too. This isn't the only place this is happening.
Can't be. Never is.
Right?
Where else is it happening? So we got a story later that we'll get into it. There were no major massive upsets in college basketball over the weekend. Number 1 through 6 all won, including number 6 Tennessee winning at number 7 Texas A&M. No one's buying this UT team. So it's Rick Barnes who can't win the national championship. But that win against A&M over the weekend, I was on A&M. I'm really impressed with Tennessee. Like defensively, they are like, I can't wait to go watch them play in Nashville at the SEC tournament where they're going to have a huge number of fans in the building for them. I mean, the Vols are live. Like they are at 15-1. I haven't bought it simply because of the Rick Barnes factor, but my God, Tennessee looks good.
I don't know how much I'm buying into them because they cannot score. And like times when they really need to, they're great defensively. Yes. My takeaway from that is, well, if they shoot like that, but like
48% from behind the arc is an anomaly. I'll give it to you.
That's what I mean. Like my takeaway from that was, okay, this is great as like they get a hot now,
right?
There'll be a fade even more. So I'm still looking against them.
So you still like Houston?
Houston's still one of the top teams. We'll find out more tonight with them. I mean, they got a lucky break, right? Those guys were out for Iowa State.
2 starters, the top 2 leading scorers for the Cyclones didn't play. I mean, TJ punted that game. I was like, all right, one was an illness, one was an injury.
Right. Yeah. So, but
they're
I mean, they got a good game tonight. Like this is the game that will not do it for me because I really still think that they are top 3 team. But they go on the road and win this one after the Iowa State game when Texas Tech has everything in the world to play for. And this line is so sus. This line is so sus.
How much you want to bet, Dave, that you're wrong?
Dave's Daily Picks. The SEC will be this year's Mountain West. Way overrated. Most will be out by round 2.
So they're going to get 13 teams. So you think 7 of them, 7 SEC teams are going out in the first round. That's what you're telling me. 7. I'll take that bet.
Well, if they get 13 teams in, I would have to say
7
or 8 get to the Sweet 16.
Oh, sure. But he says it's by round 2. He means they're going to lose in the first round. So they're out. They played 1 game and they're out.
Well, I don't know.
No way. No way.
It's going to be weird if they have a second round matchup.
There's 16. They're going to have 13 teams in. The problem is we're going to see SEC versus SEC in the second round.
That's what I'm saying. That's going to be terrible.
They're going to play each other. There's going to be so many teams. There's only 64 teams that make the main bracket. So of the 64 teams, 13 of them could be from one conference. Like you can't I can't wait to watch how the committee does this, because the committee really does not want first round matchups between conference opponents. They try very hard to not do that. Round 2, different story, but round 1, they try very hard to avoid conference versus conference the same.
Right.
So let's see them try, because they may have no shot. They may have no chance when it comes to do that. So yeah, I can't wait to see what this is going to look like from a bracket standpoint, and just how many get in. Does Arkansas get in? I mean, if Arkansas gets in, they're getting 13.
Arkansas had a big win over the weekend.
Huge win over the weekend. I was on them.
Arkansas looks like they could play their way in, right? They're not. I don't think they're in now.
No, bubble, but squarely on the bubble. They're going to have shots. They're going to have chances in the SEC tournament. On top of that, to play their way in. Like, they're going to take on top teams, top 20 ranked teams in the SEC.
Give the
tournament.
boys and girls a poll first, right? First poll of the day here so far, and it's 35 minutes in.
Nikki says Arkansas is getting in.
I was going to say, is Arkansas in or out right now?
I think everyone's going to say out, because the bracketologies have them.
Well, yeah, but that's what I mean. I want to see how many people say out.
Okay.
Because I think they can get in. You know,
I wouldn't put them in yet, but they're close. I mean,
if you look at their remaining schedule, they have a really good shot of playing their way in, and then having a good, winning 2 games, let alone 3 in the SEC tournament. John Calipari's the coach.
Yep. They want.
There's a lot of things. I mean, they're going to put them in over a Valley team that's on the bubble.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Which sucks, but yeah.
Yeah.
I wish that wasn't true, but that's true. I wish that wasn't true, but that's true. And
if you guys are watching, the poll is up in the chat. Go vote.
How can you write this and then tell me that the SEC is overrated? Like, how can you
5 and 9 in
conference, can't make that comment and then say the SEC is overrated? If you don't understand why a 5 and 9 team in the SEC can get in, then you don't understand what's going on.
They can't get in at 5 and 9. They have to play their way. They have to win more games.
Right. But
I mean, how many conference games does the SEC play?
You can beat, let's see. I think they play 18 or 16, one of the two. So from an SEC, if you look at KenPom ratings at the moment, just KenPom has, and I'm not saying KenPom's the end all be all, but just hear me out. Number 2, number 4, number 5, number 6, number 14, number 16, number 20, number 22, number 29. Like, that's ridiculous from one conference.
What is that? 8? Did you count 8 in the top 30?
Top 30. Almost a third.
Is that 8?
Sounds right. Yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous. In the top 10, they have 4 of the top 10.
Well, that can be top heavy too. Don't forget. I mean, that's why I like Dave's Daily Picks, and even JR 33312 Johnny Parley said that.
Oklahoma just had a huge win over the weekend. Like, your worst team is Georgia and Oklahoma. Georgia has played really well late. They pushed Auburn. They've lost 4 games in a row, but they were in all 4 of those games. Georgia still could make it. I mean, Georgia's not dead. Oklahoma's not dead. Oklahoma beat Mississippi State over the weekend. Huge win for them.
There's Nikki Ciramello. Thank you for associate producing the show here, as you always do, sir. Arkansas has 4 conference games left. Home versus Texas.
Yep.
At South Carolina, at Vanderbilt, and home versus Mississippi State. They can win all 4 of those games. They can be 9 and 9 in conference.
And according to KenPom, they're going to go 3 and 1, and they'll lose by 2 to Vanderbilt on the road, meaning they'll be 1 bucket away. They could win that game.
Yeah, so
they went out.
They finished 9 and 9 in conference in the SEC, and then play a game or 2 in the tournament. They're going to find a way to let Calipari in.
I would agree. And I mean, after the game against Auburn, it's why I was on Arkansas against Missouri. Cal basically said, not basically, he did say, our NCAA tournament already began. He's like, this is already the tournament. He's like, we're
playing every game.
Yeah, he's like, every game is a game we have to win. Like, we're already in tournament mode. We have to win everything. So they lost to Auburn. They went and beat Missouri. Texas, I'm not that high on Texas. I've watched a lot of Texas basketball this year. I don't think they're that good. I think Texas is, I like Arkansas better than Texas personally. Georgia is a great defensive team. I don't know how that game went over against Auburn. That was a bad beat of the weekend for me. But Oklahoma, thank God for in-game betting. Oklahoma, only 2 teams, cross-offs LSU and cross-offs South Carolina. The question is going to be, there's 4 teams probably for 2 spots. Arkansas, Texas, Georgia, Oklahoma. A hard time believing they're getting 13 teams. I think 12 is what they're going to get.
I still think it'll be 11.
Okay, that's possible.
That seems more reasonable. 12 is the top. I don't know. They're not getting more than 12 teams, and I'd be shocked if they get 13. Nope.
So that means
Georgia
Texas.
ain't making the tournament.
That means
ain't
Texas is
making
going to
the
miss it. Either
Yeah.
Texas, Arkansas
Yes.
would not be in there.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's going to be tough to see them leaving out Texas.
Is out. I don't know. I think they're
They
out.
beat Kentucky. They beat Missouri. They got some
Okay.
they got some good wins on their schedule. That's tough. Although I wouldn't. I mean, leaving Texas out wouldn't be. I wouldn't have that big of a problem with it. I don't think Texas is that good. So I don't think you're dead wrong about that. It's going to be fun to watch and see. Yeah, if Arkansas snipes Texas, that's a big game to juice. It's a huge win for them.
I would argue it's an elimination game for one of them.
Potentially.
Right?
Yeah, potentially. We talked about the fact that there weren't that many upsets in the top 10, but there were a ton outside ranked, but outside the top 10. Indiana beat Purdue. Oregon stunned Wisconsin. I didn't bet that game, but that was a double-digit lead for Wisconsin at home, and they blew it to Oregon. That was stunning for me. You mentioned BYU, their win over Arizona, Oklahoma beating Mississippi State, Arkansas taking down Mizzou. Good stuff in college basketball. A lot of good games. These are the fun weekends. Tough to win on the road.
Oh, man, tough to win on the road. Saturday was a blast. I went from game to game to game. I was watching and just kind of hanging out at home. A lot of chaos at the house. And, I said, you know what? I'm going to watch college basketball. So I did. And between that and the hockey, it was a pleasure. I just went BYU, big win on the road. Team you might want to keep an eye on, I think, going like if you have missed.
They're so make or miss, though.
When they make, though,
they can beat anybody. When they make it, they can beat anybody. I mean,
baby.
They are going to be one of those teams that's very hard to handicap in the tournament because do they hit their threes? If they hit their threes, they could wind up being in the Final Four, but they got to shoot lights out, and that doesn't happen. That's what's so fun about the tournament. You change venues every weekend. So you could be great in your first two games. You change venues. Can't tell you how many teams I've covered in the tournament who have looked outstanding in games 1 and game 2. That game 3 can't hit the broadside of a barn.
Everything changes.
Everything changes. And you're way off and you lose. I've seen it happen to Creighton, to Northern Iowa, to Iowa State, to Iowa. I mean, it happens so often to teams when they switch venues, and it's why the tournament's so good.
I got the text from Dave's Daily Picks. He said, why does Mizzou look so easy? -1.5. That's what I mean about these sus lines. Like
Arkansas?
At Arkansas.
Yeah,
like it was just one of those ones.
Arkansas, that was a play.
Mizzou played, they were leading at the half.
I know, but if you watch Missouri is 17-1 at home, okay? Missouri is a tremendous home team. They are very inconsistent on the road. They are a different basketball team. So that's why that number was. It's the same thing happening tonight with Nebraska and Michigan, right? Nebraska is backs against the wall. Nebraska has to win that game to keep themselves on the bubble of getting an invite. And Michigan's coming off of a really big loss to Michigan State in which they fell apart against Izzo in the second half. And everyone's like, oh, just play Michigan. No, I think the play is Nebraska. Home team needs to win. Inconsistent Michigan team. I think Nebraska wins tonight. I think the Huskers, protect home court tonight. It's hard to play on the road right now. Yeah. Hard to win on the road right now.
Well, you saw that in the second half with Arkansas. I mean, they really took the game over. But team like Oregon, like you said, they got better in the second half.
What a job by Dana.
Wisconsin kind of gave it away.
Coach Altman. Coach Altman's down by 17 points. You change defenses like that, and you completely befuddle Wisconsin. They didn't know what to do. Like they were just completely turning the ball over, missing shots left and right, and goes into overtime. Oregon just takes care of business in overtime. Huge win for the Ducks. That's another team out of the Big Ten that is like, what do you do with them? How do you handle Oregon? Because at some point it's like, where they are. Yeah. That's a different need. Day those 2 weeks ago. It's a whole different story now. We're in late February. That was the beginning of February. Different story tonight. And Michigan, again, off that loss. Not great. We'll get to the games tonight in a little bit.
Right.
Ovechkin scores a hat trick against the Oilers. He's now 13 goals away from Gretzky. 894. I didn't think I'd ever see this in my life. I didn't think I'd ever see anyone come close to Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah, he just keeps showing up and keep playing, and so they played the Penguins on Saturday, small favorites. It's a joke. Like, I don't know.
7-3.
Again, I thought the line should be higher, and it is what it is, and that's fine. Between Otto and Addison, like our hockey guys that listen to the show, when the line's wrong, just take it.
Yeah.
And it was wrong. So I watched a lot of it. Always jumping over the boards every time there's a power play, whether it's his shift or not. And I know that feeling. Like when you're going, or for you want to get out there, and he needs to score the goals. So that's fine. But he's doing it right there. Ovi has scored 324
Does this
goals
change?
since he turned 32. He's 39 now.
But does this change anything to you that we're talking about 324 goals after the age of 32 for Ovi? Make it more impressive, or the fact that he just gets to play in an era where older players are capable of playing longer?
I think it's a testament to one, he's able to stay healthy.
Okay.
The guy just broke his leg at the beginning of the season. He came back.
Bizarre, right?
Right. It's
done for the year, broken, a fractured fibula. No, I'm fine.
I mean, he's built different. He's built different. So again, I think, and times are a little bit different for athletes in general than when Gretzky played. Scoring 145 goals from 32 years on for Gretzky was great, but Gretzky didn't have the training methods, and they didn't do the stuff that they do now to keep on the ice. Plus, Ovi's different. He's just different. I think it makes it more impressive myself.
Capitals lead the NHL with 84 points, but they're 12-1 to win the cup. Can they win the cup?
Absolutely. Absolutely they can. Team is so close. You can see when you watch them, and again, I was so happy to watch both games yesterday and the day before with the Capitals feed, because you listen to the announcers and you listen to them talking a little bit. They got everything.
Mm-hmm.
They just haven't done it together. So that makes them more dangerous to me, because they got a guy that they're playing for. I mean, think about the past few Stanley Cup winners and how they rally around that one senior guy in the locker room. Let's play for him. Let's play for each other. You get a goalie who has done it quietly. He wasn't the primary, but he's done it. Young coach just believes in them. They're deep as could be. I think they're excellent. Yes, I think they can win the cup.
Boy, how about that, to get his second, right? It would be Ovi's second cup.
Well, yeah, they won the cup here.
I knew that over Vegas, but I know the Enter think he didn't win it before that. So Ovi would get his second cup, because it's the one thing that when people talk about Sid versus Ovi is the cups. Well, it's the difference. It's the team. It's the championships, right? It's what Crosby has done in the biggest of moments. Ovi's got one, but you get two, and it's like, okay, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
It's not like it wasn't a fluke. It wasn't like, oh, you beat the Golden Knights. Congratulations. It was their first year ever. Easy walk to a cup victory. That wasn't that hard. Do it again. Okay, now we're talking. More difficult.
I think them getting the 1 seed and playing maybe, the wild card out of the division will help them. We'll see. I really like them. I was out scouting out exacta prices over the weekend, just involving the Capitals. I said, you know what? Depending on the path, the matchup, they could be in the Eastern Conference Finals, and that's all you need for those things, is just to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. So I don't know. Name 2 teams better than them in the East.
Not right now. I mean, we'll see where they are in a month, but right now, I would say no.
not buying this Carolina stuff.
A lot of hockey left to go, though. A lot of hockey.
Oh, a ton.
We got a lot of hockey before we get to the crunch time of April, and we start seeing really the seedings and who's going to be in and who's going to be out. There's a lot of teams that are bunched together. There's a lot, there's like 6 teams within 5 points of each other for the 2 wildcard spots. So we're going to sift it all out here.
Yeah.
To see who ends up getting
the
it.
Eastern Conference bottom wildcard spots are
nuts.
Changing daily, just up.
One win changes everything. Just 1-2 point, spurt, and it's all of a sudden you're in or you're out. It's quite remarkable.
Tyrone Boyd said the other team has to show up and play defense. That's for sure. You're right, T. Boyd.
Yep. The NBA now has had more 50-point blowouts in the last 2 seasons with 11 than we had in the entire decade of the 2010s. When we had 8. We've had 19 50-point blowouts since 2020 in the NBA.
Why?
Portland killed Charlotte over the weekend, 141-88.
Yeah.
Is there a rhyme or reason to this, that this is happening? Because 50-point blowouts, it's like one team is here to play and the other is off golfing. Like they're just not mentally even at the building.
Dirty little secret. After the All-Star game, I don't want to say half the league ain't trying, but there's a lot of teams that aren't trying, and they're playing out the string. Now, the other team just keeps shooting threes.
Right, yep. And they don't stop, right?
They just keep, because the offense is shooting threes.
Yeah.
So now, these blowouts, I'm telling you, I mean, in the last couple of years in the risk room, doing the games in game, it's like, what? I make the game 38.5 now, and they're laying it, like they're winning these games by this. Yeah, is it a problem because Joe Andler's in there saying these dudes don't care?
They don't.
That's fact?
That's a fact. It's a problem. It's 100% problem. I think teams are more. This goes to the idea of when you in Major League Baseball, when you struck out 5 times in a baseball game, you were like shunned.
You might have been wearing a scarlet letter, but made it a K.
People were like, "That's embarrassing." Now it's like, "All right, see you tomorrow." Like there's no real issue to having that happen. So you get blown out by 50. The next game, people would be laughing at you across the league. You guys lost by 50 points. You got beat 141-88. You couldn't even score 90 points. You gave up 140 plus points. Now it's like, okay, that's Monday. Here we go. Wednesday. Let's play again. There's no hangover. There's no critique or ripping that happens the way that it used to.
I think
in the sport.
I think a lot of it is, and again, I use that term, policing the room. Nobody's policing the room.
Right.
Whether it's the way that a lot of people grew up playing the sport. And again, whether I'm an old head, whether I'm an old, you had pride.
Pride.
You had pride.
Yeah. So, I'm not losing by 50. Where coaches are like, hey, you sit down, you sit down, you sit down. Like veterans would be like hell, I'm sitting down. We're not losing, coach. We're going to lose. Okay. But we're going to go out on our sword. We're going to go down and we'll lose. But we're going to lose by 50. Now it's like, hey, get the plane ready. Can I get a massage before I get on the plane?
Yeah, the bus leaves at 11. Just make sure you're showered and go, and they just move on.
Yeah.
Where there needs to be some furniture moving up in this mother, like in the locker room. Like, hey, are you trying? Because I'm trying, and it don't look like you're trying on defense. And then you got to have a players only meeting where everybody yells at everybody, and then you have a coach who got to say, you know what? You don't look like you want to play defense, and these guys do. I'm going to have them play defense a little bit. You're going to sit and watch. And then they go, well, trade me. That's what happens.
There's the line that every league.
Well, if they don't care, why should we? That's definitely.
That's the uh-oh. If you're the NBA, you're the NHL, you're the NFL, you hear a fan say that, and you should shudder, because that is a big problem. That if the teams don't care, or if the fans believe the teams do not care, why am I giving you my time? The most valuable thing I have in life is my time. Why should I give it to you? Forget the money. My time is more important. I'm not going to spend time with you. And that's how leagues die.
Lessman said it's too much money to care. Is it? I mean, are we past the point of no return?
No, I don't believe that. I think there are players that still care because we see it. We see it in the playoffs. Guys make big money and make big time sacrifices. I mean, Derek White had his front 2 teeth knocked out diving for loose basketball in the playoffs. Making big money. Guys will sacrifice in the key moments. The right guys will sacrifice in the key moments.
Again, all you have to do is try.
Yeah. I mean, Subban said it. Subban said it. Like he said, look, I don't want your best 25 years. I want your best 10. Just burn it out. Fast and furious. I don't need longevity. I need your best 10 years. And I think if more people thought that way, more players thought that way like they used to, the product would be better.
Vinny's in the chat, said shorten the schedule, make the games mean more. Will that help?
No, because the players will never allow it because the money, the way the owners are compensating is based upon games. So the owners need the games to justify the salary. So that will just create a whole lockout mess if we did that.
And Lessman just came in the chat and had another good one here. I was a huge NBA fan, now just college ball for the last 2 years. Is this happening?
I'm still a college ball fan. I think gambling has opened up a lot more people to college basketball. I know from people who watch the Daily Juice have DM'd me and told me that they used to bet a lot of NBA basketball, but I don't bet a lot of NBA basketball. I bet more college, way more college. So over the course of a week, if I have 5 or 6 NBA plays, I have 30 college basketball plays. So I've got them watching. I mean, people who never watched Drake before are watching Drake and watching Valley basketball. People that don't watch Big East basketball are watching more Big East basketball. So I think gambling has opened up more eyes to the college game. And I think that there's some level of, we know the college kids are going to try. The one thing you don't got to question about college basketball players is they're trying. Okay, they're trying. They're going to play.
It has nothing to do with the gambling. No. That has nothing to do with the gambling.
No.
You're absolutely right. That is exactly right. You know the effort you're getting.
And the players are going to be available. That too. They know they're going to be there. Not only is the effort going to be there, they're going to be there. Unless they're hurt, the kid's going to play. There is no healthy scratch in college basketball. There's no like, hey, it's Tuesday, and like, I don't really want to play against Portland, so can I like just play tomorrow? Like, there's none of that in college basketball. So
give the basketball heads another pull right now. Will Arkansas make the dance? So far, it's would that finish 66 to 34. Okay. Yes. College basketball or NBA basketball? What do you watch more? I'm curious because we've got a lot of hoop heads in here, both college and pro, some more college, some more pro. I'm interested to see where the vote is for the brigade for people watching the show.
Our guys are
you got Tyler Conium. I see you working here, Tyler, in the chat. He said ticket prices in Toronto have gone up 500% in the last 6 years. You get to take your kids to one game per season, and their favorite players are resting.
Yep, that sucks.
It sucks.
That's the NBA problem. Yeah, I look, bro, NBA is crap in comparison to almost every NCAA game, especially conference games in February and March. There's no debate. Like watch the games tonight. There's NBA games. Turn on NBA, turn on college basketball, and you'll see the difference. In the crowd alone, you'll see the difference. Passion. You'll see passion in college.
We've been to college games. We go to college games here. I love going to the college games. I want to say I went to a lot of NBA. When I lived in Phoenix, we had partial season tickets to the Suns games. It was fun back then. But like when the Lakers came in with Shaq and Kobe, it was must see. The games against Sacramento, if you liked basketball.
Right.
But there's too many games that don't have as much to them.
Yeah, and look, and what happened over the weekend on Friday and Sunday?
Oh,
if you were the Knicks and a Knicks fan, you kind of walked in with, you're thinking you're all big boy, and here we go, and you got put in the corner by Cleveland and Boston. Like it's only a 2-team race, right? I mean, the East is decided just by the exacta. It's Cleveland, Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals, right?
That's it.
There's nobody else. There's nobody even in the conversation in the East.
How far away? Listen, Knicks fans, I'm looking right at you. You can try to pretend like you got a team that's going to compete. You're so far behind either one of these two teams. It really feels like you're a world apart from the Celtics. It's okay. I mean, it is what it is.
It was 36-16 in the first quarter. They were down 20 in the first quarter. It was over. The game was over in the first quarter. Like, it was just like, wasn't even a contest.
Wasn't even close. Yeah.
Sorry, Knicks fans. You're not a contender. If you're the Sixers, you said it. Do you still maintain it? Shut them down. That's it.
Done.
All options are on the table, including surgery for Joel Embiid.
Stop playing basketball this year. Stop.
Wow. The
Fix your
Sixers
knee.
or Embiid?
You could say both. You could say both, but like, if Joel's going to get fixed one more time,
yeah,
like whatever's going on, fix it and give it a shot. Otherwise, I don't know. I feel bad when guys are breaking down
at 30.
Well, this is part of being, a professional athlete. Sometimes your body betrays you. It's really hard. I mean, it's an absolute journey, and you're against all odds just making it that far, but then staying by be lucky to stay healthy and working out and do it. You could do everything right and twist your knee and it's over. So I think they got to stop playing them in these games, and they're not going nowhere. Shut it down.
Shut it down. I'm with you. There's no point in just. And then finally for the NBA, Luka finally looked like Luka. 30 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists, 4 steals.
You like his Mile High City hat?
I do. I do.
Sharp.
It looks like a baseball hat to me. That's my only problem with it, because the axes look like baseball bats and the basketball looks like a baseball to me.
Does it?
Yeah. So I whenever I glance at it fast, I always think I'm looking at a Rockies hat, and I'm like, oh no, that's a Nuggets hat. Okay.
Yeah. Luka did look good.
He looked great. I mean,
not gonna lie.
And that's gonna be playoff Luka. And he had a smile on his face the whole game because he felt like himself. He felt like he was back in shape. And he felt like he's back to playing his brand of basketball. They win the game going away. They killed the Nuggets by 23. I can't wait to see. Again, I may be in the minority, but I still think the Lakers in the West have something to say about it. I think Luka and LeBron come playoff time is
Mark Price for press. Lakers kicked their ass though.
They did.
Mark Price was great.
He was great.
Mark Price. He was a great player.
Great shooter.
I'd vote for him. That's a good one. I like that handle. Big M right there. Wow. Tickets start at $245 to get in at Crypto Arena versus the Mavs tomorrow. Rincon.
Revenge.
Wow.
Revenge spot. Luka's going to go off on him. I mean, 32, 10, 7, and 4 in the game before he sees the team that traded him. Yeah, I don't know. I'd be sick to my stomach. I remember watching Tom Brady play in a Bucs uniform for the first time, and it was Tom's choice to go play there. And I was like, that just looks wrong. And then he won the Super Bowl with the Bucs. Looked even more wrong.
I thought it looked very right, actually.
The Mavericks decided to trade Luka. It was their choice. No one was making it happen. No one wanted it to happen. They intentionally made this happen. And now you have to sit there and watch it. Oh, goodness.
So we're on the LA. You're on the LA side there?
Oh, I think the Lakers are going to kill him. Luka sits. Yeah, watch that.
Oh, Onler.
Watch that happen.
Damn you, Onler.
That'd be disgusting if that would happen.
That would be terrible.
It would be typical, though. It would be typical NBA to have Luka sit. That's so true. All right, this topic, I'm excited to get your take on this because I need your bookmaker hat on. So you have the Laker hat on or the LA hat on. I want your bookmaker hat on this because there are 3 Major League Baseball teams that are about to go into this season with a dramatically different home field than we've ever seen before. How are the books going to adjust to 3 teams? The A's, the Rays, and the Orioles. Let's start with the A's and the Rays. We've got the A's playing at Sacramento's AAA Park, and the Rays are playing at the Yankee Spring Training Park. We've never seen
this week.
We've never seen Major League Baseball be played in either one of these 2 parks for an entire season.
No.
81 games.
So do you remember COVID? Toronto played in Buffalo.
Yep.
In a minor league park. But it was a AAA. It's not fun making the totals, I can tell you that. It's not like Only because it's established at a lot of places, like with the Wind in Wrigley, you've
Yeah.
known it for years. Like, and
Okay.
even in Comiskey or whatever the other one is called, Synergy. I forget what they call the White Sox. Doesn't really matter because the
No one
White
goes.
Sox are
Yes.
right.
No one goes. So it
Doesn't matter.
No one watches. No one goes. It's just the White Sox.
No,
But this is crazy because again, Sacramento in the summer is hot as hell.
oh, it's going to be nothing but overs there.
It is hot as holy hell in Sacramento.
Yeah.
They're not as high as Vegas. We're higher up than they are, but their temperature is not that different than us here. It is hot. It's an hour inland. You might go, that's the Bay Area. Nope. It's an hour inland and it's hot in the summertime.
Yeah.
Then you've got Tampa and the humidity of Tampa for the Yankees spring training park.
Outside.
For the race. It's outside.
Outside.
In a small park, in a small attended park. This is not a 50,000 seat venue. This is a smaller venue that we're playing.
15,000 max, I think, seats. So it's going to be very interesting. You're going to have a ton of rain delays, like doing the games with the Tampa is going to be. I just think about how many times you're going to put up game, take it down, put it up, take it down. I don't know. So you're going to have to adjust the run lines. You're going to have to adjust
Rocky
the
prices? Is it 9.5 and 10.5?
Oh yeah, you're going to have to. It's going to be more than that. Depending on, you'll see how it happens in April and May, but then April and May becomes very different from June, July, and August in both of those places. I mean, both of those places for the A's and the Rays are drastically different. The adjustment for the Orioles is hit and miss. That's a little bit different because moving their field, moving the fence in is one thing, but then you lower it.
Well, they moved it out. They moved it in 2022. The Orioles were giving up too many home runs, so they extended it by over 10 feet and they raised it up to 11 feet.
Yeah, they made that bigger wall. Yeah.
So now they're moving it in by 10 feet. Not all because it's kind of a crooked line, but basically it's about 10 to 12 feet, depending on where you're looking in, and they're dropping it down to 4 feet.
Yeah.
They're dropping down the wall to 4 feet.
Yeah.
In order to try to take advantage of the right-handed power bats that they've got on that Orioles lineup. Yeah. So what do you do with this? Do you make the totals higher for the Orioles? They can't. We know their pitching is going to be a problem.
You see the starting staff for the Orioles. It's definitely. I feel like it's really going to be a problem.
No one wants to buy into my idea that there's value in the Red Sox to win the division. No one likes that take. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying there's value.
Our friends at Kelly and Murray just put out their podcast. She picked the Red Sox to win the American League.
Okay, no,
it's out there.
That ain't happening. But the division,
it's out there. People are talking. That's the buzz.
At 450, there's value to win the East. They're not winning. They're not. No, because look,
once anything can happen. Once you get into playoffs, but I mean, legitimately talking about the Red Sox to win a division is not just you being a homer.
Okay,
it's a legit discussion that could happen. The division is somewhat down a little bit.
Yeah,
Baltimore step back.
Well, they also might get Vlad. I mean, the Sox could pull and chuck the world here
this year.
Yeah, it depends on what they want to put into it. Vlad is gone. He's leaving, and he doesn't want to play for the Yankees, so he's not going to get traded there. He's going to sign a free agent contract. So the Red Sox could just say, hey, look, we're going to give up or wait a year, frankly, but they may want to win right now. If they want to win right now, Vlad plays first base. You give up Tristan Casas, who right now is brawling with the manager. So if he wants out, keep telling Cora who to play. If Tristan wants to play somewhere else, keep on telling Alex Cora who should be playing what position. So surefire way to get thrown out if that happens. Chris Warren, I disagree with you. They're winning. They're going to be in the wild card conversation. Like they're going to be 86 to 88 wins. That's what I mean. Their number is 86.5.
Yeah, it's in the Orioles is 88.5. The Red Sox is, I saw it as high as 87.5 at a place. So listen, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. I know a lot of people that like talk about baseball are talking.
Chris Warren, welcome to the content space because that ain't
value is when the bet can win.
Because that ain't it. Well, content space doesn't agree with you.
Some people, will take shots on tickets that they think will go down in price just to say they had it. You can put them in the CLV can. They're worth nothing at the end, but I think you could get a sweat from it. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. I think they go 500, and depending on the way injuries play out, then it could be an over. I mean, it could be
also
if they win 90 games, they're probably going to be in the playoffs.
Oh yeah, they got 2 pitchers coming back off pretty significant injury, right? So let's see what they look like. If Giolito comes back and looks like even a 80% of Lucas Giolito, he's their 4th starter. That's not horrible. And Brian Bayo is a guy that should be able to help them as a 3, 4, or 5 starter for them. And we haven't even talked about the 2 best pitchers. Whitlock's going to be good. So they've got arms. For the first time in forever, the Red Sox have more arms than they have slots in their starting rotation. All guys that could potentially be there because they added at the top Crochet and Buehler. Now, again, what does Walker Buehler look like? We'll figure it out. But if you think he is going to come back to form, Red Sox have got an ace for the first time in a really long time at the top of their rotation.
Yeah.
Through 100 or through 99 2 days ago.
We shall see. Again, I think as far as the things being adjusted, you got to do it on the fly. You can't just go into the season and say, you're going to make a concerted effort to add a run to all the totals. You're going to make a concerted effort to the first 5s are going to be adjusted. Like that's another adjustment that has to be made. So there's no one way to answer that question. And some people will have a different way of doing it than others, but it's something to watch both betting wise and book wise.
Look, Marcelo, yes, I'd be on one, but that ain't happening. But what I would bet is the field. I would go and find a book that lets you bet the field against the Dodgers.
You can just bet the no.
Or bet the no. Or bet the no on the Dodgers to win the World Series.
Right.
And bet the no. Because you're taking every other team except the Dodgers. Look, the Dodgers are incredible. But once we get to the playoffs, they're going to win 110 games. They're going to be unbelievable. But once you get to the postseason, yes, they did it last year. Yes, some would say they won because of Dave Roberts or despite Dave Roberts. Let's see what they do in the playoffs. The playoffs, the bracket is totally different. It's a whole different world.
The baseball playoffs are the most random thing we have. I mean, you play 6 months of baseball to then go to a 3-game series to advance.
Right.
And then a 5-game series to really advance. And then a 7-game series.
And then another one.
To get to the World Series. Oh, yeah. Then we got to win another 7-game series. It's baseball. It's the most. And again, the Dodgers did it last year with 2 guys pitching like out of the bullpen.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Anything can happen. Well, I'm not saying the Dodgers aren't going to win it again, but I'm saying having those tickets live on other teams and things leaves you options. It's pretty fun betting the Dodgers, in the NLCS when you're sitting on a ticket that's 25-1.
Right.
And you can lay,
10.
I don't know, like not even. You can take them plus 350 going in, knowing the path, and you sit there and watch the games and enjoy it, not sweat it.
You're right, TBW. Hockey can be random with a hot goalie. That's true.
100%. That's the other one. That's why I love those playoffs. I think that's why fans like them. You feel like you got a shot. Right.
Hope that one guy can rise up and do a lot for you. So this story, we missed it last week, and that's on me because I was in New Hampshire and I didn't see the Guardians expose on the DraftKings lawsuit.
Oh, this was terrible.
This story is unbelievable. If you guys haven't read this, go and read it in The Guardian. We'll give you some highlights here in just one second, but it's inside the lawsuit that has been filed from the man who did gamble away the life savings of a woman and her 2 kids, and she didn't know about it until she started to check into her actual accounts and realized how much money this guy went. Dave, at one point, according to this story, her ex-husband, who, when she found out she went to the bank, she found out everything that happened. The guy disappeared, took his stuff, never came back. They were living with her grandparents. He left, never came back. He was making 100 bets a day.
Yeah.
100 bets a day.
Not for $5 either. Like the bets were, 100 bets a day at $5 is $500.
No,
Okay.
he was making it for real money.
He was making nickel and dime bets.
So he went from his average monthly deposit, his average monthly deposit into DraftKings. In 2020, he was depositing $2,000 a month. In 2021, he was depositing $13,000 a month. In 2022, he was depositing $44,000 a month. And in 2023, he was depositing $64,716 on average per month.
Into his betting account.
Cash. And he was being enticed over and over again by VIPs in the DraftKings world, according to the lawsuit, to keep on doing what he was doing.
Guy like that gets all the perks.
All the perks.
The tickets, the free bets, the bonuses. Guy like that is keeping the business afloat.
He made 14,000 bets in 2023. 14,000. So doesn't this
divide 14,000 by 365? Somebody do that and put it in the chat.
How many bets a day? Well, it's over. It was 100 a day. This is where the responsible gaming conversation comes in. Obviously, this guy was heavily addicted. Clearly, this is addiction. There's no debating it. But when we have these conversations and we're asking the books to police themselves, and they are a for-profit business like a lot of these OSBs are, where in the old days it was still gambling, but you would gamble at the tables and then they'd bring you over and you'd bet a little bit on sports, or that you go and do something else. Sports gambling wasn't the reason why you were there. There were a bunch of other reasons why you were at the casino gambling. The casino on your phone is really after one thing and one thing only, and that's just your money. And they're going to try to figure out any which way they can possibly get it.
Right.
Does a lawsuit like this, we'll see whether or not it wins or not. I don't know if she's going to be able to win or not, but she claims she has some pretty damning evidence and some things that she told the Guardian. She's fighting this in the court of public opinion for whatever reason, telling the Guardian essentially her entire strategy as to what she's suing DraftKings for. But these are the stories that the government jumps onto, do they not? Like this is what gets this is what gets shown in a Senate hearing on whether or not sports gambling should be legal in this country.
Of course. That's a lot. The jump up is very noticeable. You can't say nobody noticed it, and then you go back and you look and you probably got, somebody making sure this guy's in play. You make 38 bets in a day. I can't even
every day
tell you how many bets I made on Saturday. I don't even want to go back and look because I was having fun though. But I was betting, and then that made me bet Sunday. But I don't have to bet anything today. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
or tomorrow or any. So I think there's a way in for people that have that compulsion and have that ability to get addicted to the action. But to then do it and have all that money go away. The story was they went to apply for a mortgage and went, "Where's all the money?" She went, "Where's all the money?"
The other problem with the story, to go on the other side of it, because there is that's obviously very negative on DraftKings, but the other side of it is she's saying if DraftKings had verified his income, she would have realized that he was depositing 3 or 4x what his annual income was, depositing it into DraftKings. And I don't want sports books or the government, even though this guy's clearly addicted, I don't want them to have any access, any ability to verify those things, because you have no idea where the money comes from.
Coming.
And the government shouldn't be able to do that.
Right. It's coming.
I know it's coming, but I don't like that at all.
No.
Because there's a million different reasons why people have money and a million different reasons why people use the money the way they use their money.
Right.
And to go through a bunch of rigmaroles just to get a bet down, like if I come in and I want to make a deposit and put this money into the account, if my criminal record, if you want to do a criminal check or a social security check or whatever you want, fine, that's instantaneous. But if you want to go through a whole litany of phone calls and bank record verification and income and W-2s and all of this stuff just to make a bet, that's over the top. And I don't think that that's going to help the business. That's going to hurt the business. So I don't like that at all. So I disagree with her by her saying, well, if they had just done an income verification check, well, honey, it was your money he was betting with. You're married. Like, so how do we dictate with that? How do we have that? You have to be told he's betting with your money. You're married. Half your stuff is his. That's what a marriage is. I'm not saying it's right what he did, but like, I would go, like, if we go through all of this paperwork, it's going to be a headache and a half, not just from the player perspective, from the book perspective, it's a headache.
It's already happened. It's why the online stuff has dwarfed the retail stuff, because they already did this at retail locations. They already came to people. All the books I worked at, we went from just a guy showed up at the counter with $200,000 and wanted to bet it. We figured out, we counted it and put it in a drawer and took the bets. Then it became a problem. Okay, what's the problem? Well, you have to verify that the money came from here, there. Well, how do we do that? We hand them a stack of papers. And they have to fill it out. Somebody that's been doing this doesn't want to fill that out. So they stop betting. They move on to something else.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. It's that simple, you know, or like they had to verify chips in the casino. We used to take chips in the casino for bets. We had to stop taking chips. They had to go redeem the money for the chips. And then the cage would confirm that the chips were theirs or whatever.
Right.
So, you know, and you guys, if you've ever done this at any casinos and stuff, like, this is not something that's new. So they cut the legs out right from retail books here in Vegas, who used to just take a bag of cash.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, somebody would show up for the weekend and say, I'm here to bet the NFL. You know, I make $500,000 a year. So I brought $150,000 with me. I've been waiting to come here and do this. I'm going to bet first half. So I'm going to bet this. I'm going to bet that. Normally showed up and that was no problem. Well, when he shows up now, he's got a stack of paperwork to fill out before we can take the deposit. And he goes, the hell with this. I'm going to go get a cabana and watch the games myself, but I'm going to call a bookie.
Yeah.
You know, and I'll post up with him. So they're going to get their bet on, however they have to do it. It's not good. It's not good for the business, but the business doesn't matter. You know, you in that situation, you have to. I mean, again, you're asking the books to be the police.
Yeah, fair.
Right? Like I got to know that this guy's doing. How would I know this guy's doing this to his wife and his kids?
Right. Or how do you know that she doesn't know? Because maybe he's doing it to his wife and his kids. His wife doesn't care. Maybe his wife knows. Maybe his wife's the one making the bets. He's placing it. She's making the picks. Like, who knows? You can't get into someone's, you know, the transactional nature of what's happening inside someone's house as to who is doing what. The books can't know that. So the problem is, and her thing is, the VIPs at DraftKings kept on watching him lose and lose and lose. And nobody stopped to ask, are you okay? I mean, 63.
Because he's losing. If he's winning,
yeah, they shut him off
in a week.
Yeah, and that's a problem. So that's the predatory nature of what the VIP host. Her whole argument is around that she, even in the story for The Guardian, there's pictures of like these like DraftKings swag stuff that was sent for being one of their big high rollers, one of their highest spenders type of thing. He got out. He got all the perks, and he liked getting all the perks. And they kept on feeding him. She got all the emails and all the exchanges, all the text messages between the VIP host and him. Does that, in a court of law, show culpability for a problem gambler and up against the, gambling laws of certain states? I don't know. That's for a court to figure out whether or not she'll get any money back. I don't think she will personally, but that's why she's telling her story. She wants it to, to go out there and tell everyone the dangers. And there are dangers with gambling. There's no debating it. It is an addictive, destructive practice for certain people. But this story is going to be, Our guy Shoots on CasinoReports.com wrote an unbelievable article about Massachusetts, and if they want to be seen as the watchdog and the regulation, that Gaming Control Board wants to be seen as the strictest in the country, that they've got to do something about DraftKings in their backyard because of this story. It's like, okay.
I mean, there's this one. There's the Jacksonville Jaguars guy.
Yep,
who was,
right.
Stealing money from the team to, feed his habit.
And the Jags want their money back.
I know personally. I mean, I have friends whose siblings, were regular dudes and making 40 grand a year and ended up doing the same thing. Just got caught up in it. And, and some people watch our show and do it. Like it's, you don't know. I don't think it's on the book to be the police. Like you have to notice if somebody comes in and says, give me your 25 highest volume people. They're betting, probably the numbers would blow you away how much volume they're doing. Are they winning? Not really. 3 of them, 4 of them might be, but 20 of them, probably not.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have to shut them off when they keep depositing the money? I don't know.
And that's the difference between your local bookie and the OSBs. The money's got to be there. You're not betting on credit. You're betting with real money. So, again, where's the money coming from? The book is supposed to know. But sometimes it's just a rich guy. Sometimes the guy's got a lot of money, just wants to bet a lot.
Yeah, but sometimes it's other guys' money. Sometimes it's like, I don't know how far they want you to go. Like that was the thing when they first came to us. I was working at the Cosmo, and we had a lot of fake millionaires at the Cosmo. Okay. Whether they were, no joke, arms dealers, drug dealers, pimps, rich guys that sold businesses. We didn't ask. They came with money, and they came to play. The next year, when they gave us this packet, I said, you're going to hand that to them. I can't hand it to them. Why? That's the job. Well, I'm going to hand it to them. They're going to throw it back on my face, and they're going to go across the street. And that's what they did. 1 or 2 of the guys actually filled it out because they liked our lines and they liked hanging out at the book. Otherwise, those people just left. That was it. Volume, and that's what happens. So you can ask the book to do that. You can ask casinos to do it. The KYC stuff is no joke. But that's the defense for the book. If you say you are who you are, you can come in and bet. Now, it's not the modern day of trading and letting people win. Like somebody has to win for 98% of you to lose, 2% have to win. Okay. But they'll throw them out. They'd rather throw them out. So now what the bettors have done is adapt and say, give me your account. You have a high limit account. I mean, this guy's account had to have no limits.
No limit.
So a guy who knows what he's doing gets to this guy and says, look, they give you everything. Let us bet for you. And maybe they did that. Who knows? And they lost, and it made his worse. And he got caught up with somebody who said, I'll help you win. I'll help you win. Who knows? But is that on the book to know?
Interesting point. Interesting. Yeah, there could be more to it. That's a good point. Yeah, could be more to it. So we'll watch it. Obviously, that story's a lot of people in the space in the industry side of things are watching that lawsuit pretty closely.
Yeah.
We just speculated closely. Maryland, we talked about Vermont looking to repeal both lottery and online sports betting from Virginia. There's a bill in Maryland now that's going to try to take down mobile betting. They just went legal a year ago, and there's already a bill that's looking to take down mobile in Maryland.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I just think more people are feeling more emboldened to start to push back on the idea that sports gambling isn't what they thought it was going to be.
I think there's a little more to it. Just, and again, I haven't talked to any lawyers, and
they're allowing
any regulators.
They want in person. They want counter. You can go to the counter and bet. They want to get rid of online betting in Maryland. I mean, there's one big casino. BetMGM might want. I mean, MGM might want that, but MGM also has online sports betting there, and they have an app, so they have a. I mean,
but no one else has a casino.
Correct. Yes. Correct.
So,
but it's also the only casino like the whole area, though. So, like, I don't know how much they're getting hit by people betting online with sports that would drive them to have to go to the property to bet.
Again, the sports.
Jeff Benny, I couldn't put this. It's too complicated. I couldn't put it on the show. But this Courier Texas jackpot story is crazy. Do you see that?
Yeah.
$85 million won by a courier, and people are thinking it's fixed. And the governor's not exactly saying that it's not.
Yeah, that's a whole other story.
That's a rabbit hole
at a different time. Yeah.
Yeah. Too tough to get into it.
Yeah, you always have to wonder when things like this come about, where they're coming from and who does it benefit. And it benefits the people having the casino. The sports betting has always been the Trojan horse into the world of having a casino on your phone. It starts with the sports, and then it morphs into slots and sweeps and different things. It's very easy to do. So it makes sense that they're discussing it. I don't think they're going to do it.
No, I don't think so either. It doesn't sound like there's much momentum for it, but it's just in the course of 2 weeks, we're seeing two bills to go backwards, not forwards with sports gambling. We're all talking about when is Texas and California going to legalize, and now we're seeing Vermont and Maryland talking about repealing, going the other way. It's like, oh, okay. Who wins tonight? Houston, Texas Tech. Big game in college basketball. Game of the night.
I mean, the makings of it have Texas Tech winning this game.
Agreed.
It's supposed to win this game, but Houston has defied logic multiple times in the past week, 2 weeks, whatever. You know, they were supposed to go to Arizona and lose. They didn't. You know, they didn't cover against Iowa State, but Iowa State had, undermanned team.
How about that? With that number, well, the opener covered. It opened at 9.5.
Yeah,
and it closed at 12.5.
Right.
And then it stayed under somehow too, which is like
the total was so low.
Yeah.
Again, the total tonight is under. That's I like the under best. Do you like a side in this?
A part of me says take Texas Tech. They're at home, home teams here, but Houston, like you mentioned, Houston's played well at Texas Tech. Like they're going clear across the state. I mean, it's a far trip for them. They're going in state, but pretty much is going from Houston, Texas to Lubbock, Texas is basically almost as far as you can go in the state without leaving the state. So I guess east to west, like north and south might be longer, but Houston plays well there. I've watched Houston go there and win consistently at Texas Tech. So like, I'm not a huge fan of this Texas Tech team, but if they hit their threes tonight, they win.
I think Houston, again, top 3 team in the country. They'll win tonight.
Top team in the country. Might be the top team in the country.
Maybe. But yeah, if I was to bet this pregame, I would bet Houston right now. But everything, the line screams you're supposed to take Texas Tech.
2 other games to get into here as we do the whole show inside of the window here. Better to book it time for us right now. The line's flipped here with better to book it, but I'm coming in. Nebraska's at home against Michigan. You can get Nebraska +1 now on this.
Right.
I think the Huskers win. I think their backs are against the wall. I think it's a must-win game. I'm not a very big fan of Michigan at the moment. Dusty May's a really good coach, but they got hot and then they got exposed in the second half by Izzo. I think it continues. I think they lose back-to-back games.
I like Michigan.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'd say make this a book it. Guys watching the show, if you've been here this long and you're a hoop head, type who wins this game. Just type it in the chat because we got this poll going on there. I'm interested
82%.
to see. What is it?
82% college. That's what I thought.
That's our vote?
Yeah, I figured our people would be college.
82% to 18%.
Yeah, you look where our audience is in the Midwest. Our audience is East Coast and Midwest people, and that's the NBA is a major market league. If you don't live in a major market, you're not diehard NBA.
I don't know. You think they're diehard NBA in Milwaukee?
Depends. In the city, yes. young people in the city, I would say yes. Outside of it, no. I think they're college basketball. They're Wisconsin Marquette people.
Wow.
Diehard. But yeah, there's a lot of people that feel this way.
Johnny Parlay, NBA sucks.
A lot of people feel that way. A lot of people. So we go Michigan.
Man.
We're going Huskers.
Huskers, Michigan. I like Houston and Michigan. Go Blue.
Everyone's on Michigan. I love this.
in our chat. Yeah.
Everyone's on Michigan. I love it. I'm taking Michigan.
This is another content-based thing. I'm telling you, people must be listening to the juice and then giving out their plays, which might be happening.
Great. Well, I went 4-0 yesterday, so we'll see what happens with
you're hot. There you go.
Florida State plus 2.5 at home against North Carolina tonight.
Jeez, why would you pick this game?
Because Carolina sucks on the road. They're 4-11-1 ATS.
This is a travesty of a game.
Sure, but it's Carolina.
Florida State. You want Florida State? They're a mess. No,
North Carolina's a mess on the road.
Both teams are a mess. I guess take the dog. I'd say bet it.
Home dog, Florida State.
What a crap game.
Hey, go find value. Go find numbers. You can go ahead and jump.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah.
Favorite thing about today is what?
Did you not pick the Northeastern Monmouth game?
Sorry, no, did not do that.
Figured you'd be on Northeastern.
No.
Sneaky side there for you.
What?
Sneaky side, take Northeastern.
Right,
Colorado at home against Kansas. No interest?
No interest at all.
Kansas is caca.
Disastrous. And Colorado is too. That number should be like 15. In a normal year, that's a 15 number. That's how bad KU is. And on the road too. Oh.
Right?
No way.
Jeez. Yeah, the favorite thing about today is that the journey starts for little Consig today. She's got her first travel team meeting.
Oh, wow.
Uniform numbers, all this other stuff. So
she said you can't coach her. I asked her. I said, your dad going to coach volleyball? She's like, no, dad can't coach. I'm not letting my dad coach me volleyball. I was like, why? He coached your sisters. Why can't he coach you? He ain't coaching me volleyball. All right.
This is part of letting go. So it's fine. I'll let this happen naturally. And the whole time I'm, earning points with people that might actually let me do this.
There you go.
So, and I'll get my ass back in shape as well. If I actually start with the volleyball, but this 10U team is trying to get me back on the field. I told them, let me get to Florida, let me do my trip. And when I come back, we'll reevaluate. So, but yeah, the favorite thing about today is that the life is going to get very chaotic. The rushing to practice, the drop off, then getting back and doing sports grid and everything else. That's good. My other favorite thing is that she slept until like 2:00 in the afternoon yesterday after being at your house all night, not staying over, but whatever you guys
did. The get together, they had fun. We did s'mores. We went to Michael's. They painted for like 3 hours, and then they went and made s'mores outside.
They're very artsy.
Yep,
they're very artsy. They like creating and doing
they were
stuff.
all into that. I went and bought a bunch of paint stuff, and they had things. They were laughing because I had no idea what a squishy was. They thought it was very funny.
Yeah.
Like we had to go buy a squishy. I was like, "What the hell is a squishy?" And I thought that was very funny.
We got them all over the house. Yeah.
They were laughing hysterically. You don't know what a squishy is? I was like, I don't know what the hell a squishy is. Like, what do you mean? It's like a thing you paint. It's like I didn't know you painted those things. Okay, Matt.
Left me alone to watch the basketball, which actually was probably was more expensive. Me home staying watching basketball than it was anything. So
yeah, for me,
gone to Michael's.
My favorite thing about today is that this picture now is everywhere. Do you know who that is?
The golfer guy who nobody bet on.
That's Brian Campbell, right?
Yeah.
Brian Campbell was 220-1 to win the Mexican Open.
Yeah.
Right. The girl he's hugging is my former intern.
Oh, wow.
Kelsey is my former intern. She's been seeing him for years, with him all over the country, has been with him through thick and thin.
Dear
and
Lord.
I just happened to I wasn't watching this. I happened to just put it on, and I get a shot of her on my screen. I'm like, why is Kelsey on NBC Sports? Like, what is going on? I sent her a DM. I'm like, wait, what is going on? And then I started watching it, and I was like, oh my gosh. The shot in extra time that hit the damn tree, that bounced back onto the fairway, that allowed him to win the tournament, is one of the craziest shots you will ever see. And breaks on breaks. If anyone deserves a break, it's Brian Campbell, because that guy has been all over the world, all over the country, Corn Ferry, I never thought the guy would win on the PGA Tour. gets to play in the Masters now. Kelsey gets to go to the Masters. She can play, by the way. She's good. She's actually really good. Not as good as he is, but she can really play. The favorite thing about today is that story of Kelsey and Brian has gone absolutely viral everywhere. That picture of them celebrating has gone viral everywhere, and that we'll be hopefully seeing more of the two of them coming up. He's 13th in the FedEx Cup points now. Came out of nowhere.
None of the golf guys had him.
Obviously not at 220 to 1. Nope. I mean, what a ricochet. Yeah, 99 out of 100 times that ball does not do that. I would entirely agree. And both guys were falling apart in the playoff. Like, that was bad golf in the playoff. Neither one of those guys could win that tournament. And then the unbelievable approach shot that he hit, and he buried the putt like it was just, he knocked that thing right in and celebrated, and then came Kelsey running out and jumping in. It was just, so super happy for the two of them. She was in Houston, Texas, where they met, and where she was a Gal Media Yahoo Sports Radio intern for us. I golfed with her a bunch of times. It was awesome. Yesterday was so much fun to watch that. And I wasn't even watching it until I just saw it on Twitter. Playoff begins.
You wonder why you see certain things in certain times. Like I saw a clip this morning of something that I would have never seen. I just happened to roll over and I fell asleep listening to that stupid thing with the Jerry Springer show with the elf guy. So my phone was on something and I posted a clip. I saw it. I was like, wow. Okay. So that's good that you got to see it live.
Yeah, I saw it live. So it was really fun. And I'm super happy for that, for the two of them. Congratulations. And his whole career's changed now. Winning that tournament will change everything for him. It's very, very cool. Yeah. He was the least bet golfer at BetMGM. Nobody had him. Right. Nobody had him. 220 to 1. Oh my. Guys, thanks for being here. We're back tomorrow. No show Wednesday. Remember, Dave, Matt, thank you for being here. BVB on a Tuesday hits you tomorrow.